Welcome back, team. This is our 5th episode of the podcast. It's also our first guest.
Ooh,
We've
exciting.
got Mark Branniff sitting across from us. Welcome, mate. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks very much for having me, boys.
I know you probably had a few hundred Ks to get through this week, so this is to get an hour of your time is we're grateful for. Welcome to our podcast, if I didn't already say that.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd just start. Who is Mark Branniff? What's your background? You're from Ireland, from what I can gather.
Yeah.
Tell us about your background a little bit, and then maybe your early athletic sort of stuff, if there ever was one.
Yeah, sweet.
Before you get going, I just want to say, I want to get Mark on because I feel like there's people who, a lot on social media and stuff, who train and everyone's like, oh, they do some hard stuff and they're fit. And Mark's one of these guys that he's just flying under the radar at the moment and he's a complete freak. But you're going to be blowing up soon, I'm pretty sure.
Hopefully.
So I'm excited for that. Extremely fit dude and mentally tough, and hopefully we'll get into that a little bit as well.
Yeah, as we get on.
Go deep, mate.
Yeah.
Really find out those issues.
You
Get
don't
those
wanna know
issues
it
out,
all,
mate.
You don't want to know it all.
But continue, mate. Sorry.
Sick. Yeah, just born and raised just about half an hour outside Belfast. Most of my early youth was just playing Gaelic football. That was it. Just an Irish sport, if nobody knows what that is. Was just flat out growing up playing Gaelic football. I would have done a lot of cross country when I was in school as well. And then played to a relatively high standard, but I was never very good technically at any kind of ball sports. I was just pretty good at running it after people. That was essentially it. And I'd done that up until probably I was about 21 or so. I was doing that mainly, and then I sort of quit Gaelic football and just fell out of love with it. I was sort of being, at that point, like playing for 3 and 4 teams, and just, it was getting to the point where it was just a complete chore, and I was like, I always wanted to be a pro athlete. That was my thing. I wanted to be, whatever I was doing, I want to be the best at it. Not like, it's probably something to do with my ego as well, but like, growing up, I always wanted to be the best Gaelic player.
Like from an early age.
Yeah, early age. I always wanted to be like the best Gaelic footballer in Ireland. Yeah. If I was going to play basketball, I wanted to be the best basketballer, like whatever it was. And I just never was, like, I was pretty good at everything, but just not great at anything. That was mainly what it was, especially with the Gaelic football. It was good, but not great. Then I moved out of that and I was like, oh, I'm going to do a triathlon. Never really started that. And then one of the boys said to me about going to a CrossFit class when I was about 20, so about 5.5, 6 years ago now. And then I remember going to the class and I like seeing the workout. It was like an 800 meter run and 30 box step ups, and I was like, with a dumbbell, whatever it was. I came in like off the run, like 2 minutes 30. I was like, I'm gonna smash everyone in the first class. Unreal. Pick up like a 12 kilo dumbbell. I get about 5 step ups in. I'm like, oh, here we go. Like, here we go. And then just fell in love with CrossFit and was like, I'm going to go to the games. Just like every, I think, young 20-year-old that starts CrossFit. They're just like, that's it, mate. I'm going to the games. 30 ring muscle ups next week, inbound, and 200 kilo squat clean, whatever it is. Yeah. And then I was consistently training hard. Still had that objective for probably up until, I would say, the start of 2023, and starting to realize that my strength, I enjoy myself outside of CrossFit quite a bit, because I was living in Spain for 2 years of that, when I just started CrossFit and just started coaching, and I was just training like a dog 4 and 5 hours a day for 5 days a week. But then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I was chilling with the Americans, like going out, smoking weed, drinking beers, whatever it was. Like, just, I like to touch both ends of the spectrum at all times, and I just never locked it in. So my strength gains were never there, but because I was so cardiovascularly and gymnastically good, I got away with not being elite. I was pretty good at those, and then you put a barbell in my hands and it's game over. Like, I was pretty poor. And then it got to about June last year when I got out here, and I was like, I need to do something. I need to do something really like different, because I know I'm not going to be a pro athlete this way, and it's still my objective to be a pro athlete and still enjoy myself. And basically had a big massive list of things wrote out, and I was like, what's the last thing you want to do on that list? So let's run 100 miles in January without having ran 10k in about 4 years. And then that started in June. I remember going for my first run. I done 15k. I ran 10k at like 4-minute 40 pace, and then I had to walk.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely gassed, and was like, I'd already put it up on my Instagram, like, I'm gonna run 100 miles. Let's go. Like, obviously, big ego on me. And then I was like, literally in the room, like, oh, you're a dumbass after that for the next while. Like, but yeah, that's pretty much most of my background of how I've ended up here now. Like,
would you say you're how would those early teammates or early CrossFit members that were around you, how would they describe you in terms of like, would they see you as a gifted athlete, or would it be more about your work ethic or more about your teamwork? Or
probably more about my work ethic. Just even in like Gaelic football, I was not great. Like, I was just better at working than people, and like better at suffering, I would say. Like, I was good at like hurting and just consistently hurting. Like, especially when it came to CrossFit, people probably thought I was an absolute psycho. I came in the first time and I like cut my finger off the night before because I was hungover setting up a bed, and I cut my finger off. Like, it's properly like 12 stitches. I've no feeling in it now. And I came in to train the next morning, and they were just like, what are you doing, you dumbass? Like, and the thing is, like, if it were to happen now, I know I'd still be in the next morning being stupid, like, and I know I really shouldn't, but it's always just been like, I'm trying to touch extremities at all times, like even moving to Madrid, like social life, fitness, everything I done just had to be a wee bit like a bit out there with what I was doing, and never really like centered myself in anything I was doing.
Where do you think that like drive, like you're saying you always wanted to be a pro athlete, and then do you think that like ability to hurt and suffer is like a way of you telling yourself like, this could be the way I sort of get there?
I think it just fell into place for me. Like, I always just enjoyed the suffering more than anything. And then it was just like always looking, like moving to Madrid was just looking for that extremity of like, I want to learn Spanish, do something different. Like, even though it's not to do with fitness, it's still like for a lad from outside Belfast, and then telling a load of like rural Irish lads, I'm moving to Madrid to learn Spanish. They're like, mate, what are you doing? Like, I just think that extremity constantly happened, and then eventually it just fell into this. Like, one of the boys, I was literally talking to him last week, and he was like, there would be nothing else that you would be good at other than just long suffering. Like, that's it, nothing else.
Is that kind of like the thought process? You're like, right, what? Because like the endurance events have really become popular, haven't they, over the last like 5-10 years? Like,
massive.
Like, I feel like there was like a lot of them are selling out like pretty much
straight away
instantly
now, and the prices are going up like crazy.
And I do think there's definitely a correlation with like obviously YouTube, where you're just getting exposed and people are getting allowed to sort of get to know these athletes, whereas before like
nobody knew them, and they were just like rogue,
just
not cases.
Like Kilian Jornet is like super, like, do you know who that is?
No.
He's like seen as like the best endurance runner in the world, really. And he's a freak. So you can follow him YouTube, but you can also on Strava you can see what he's doing,
what he's up to,
which is crazy.
Yeah, there's way more like publicity.
Like, you see the amount of elevation he's doing week to week, and the Ks he's doing and stuff. It's like, so that allows people to sort of come into these like more like niche sporting worlds, I think.
Yeah.
So was there anyone which you kind of looked up to in that way, in that regard? Was there anyone you were like, oh, that could be me?
No, I never really looked up to anybody in particular. Like, obviously I seen Goggins and stuff. Like, have you seen about the Goggins effect? Like, ever since Goggins really has come on the scene, there's a lot more people like me and like Ned Brockman or like all those people, and it sort of stems from his like his initial like psychotic moves you just seen online, like obscure things that you're just like, that's nuts, and I never really thought about it. Like, I remember listening to the Joe Rogan podcast where he talked about like the knees gone. I don't really believe that to full extent, but like seeing those extra, like running 100 miles and never having trained before for that like event, I think that started to popularize it a bit. And then you've like Nick Burr, all those hybrid athletes now jumping on, and it's nearly like cool to be doing endurance events.
Gotcha.
Where 10 years ago, like if you're in Ireland and you're saying, oh, like I'm going to do a marathon, you're like, what are you doing,
You
mate?
do it
Like,
by
you
yourself.
can't
Like you
catch
said,
it.
like Ned Brockman is someone who's done it very, like, recently, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's like now a full-time athlete, and he's
Yeah.
about to go into a new one.
I
isn't
think
he?
he's trying to take on the 1,000-mile world record, so he is at
Yeah.
the minute,
Wow.
which is
Ran a track, that is.
round a track, which is
Yeah.
Dark.
must be brutal. Although physically, he's definitely doing it from the easiest standpoint.
Yeah.
Right.
Because like you look
No
at
elevation.
the old 1,000-mile world record was done by some guy around New York. Like, there's no elevation. Like,
Yeah.
it's just flats, and that's the only way you're
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
be able to do
Yeah.
it anyway. It's not a knock on him. It's just like
Mm.
mentally, it's going to be brutal running around a track. But like physically, I know the difference between like running 100-mile round Centennial versus running
Yeah.
100-mile up the South Coogee steps. It's a big difference. Like, it's a massive difference
Yeah.
between the two.
Mate, I think that's one of the things which I saw and heard about you, the Coogee Steps. I couldn't believe it, because Coogee Steps is for your, like, we're like reasonably, fit, average, Joes, but we're reasonably fit dudes. And like last time we done like 4 of them, I think, and I was like, my quads were like shaking, and I was like even a bit of like blood in my throat.
Yeah.
Like, we're going up in like semi fast, but you done it for
31 hours.
31 hours.
Jesus. How many, you imagine you've counted the steps. How many steps is it?
It's 137 times up them, 256 steps, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
I can distinctly, like, I'm not a runner at all, but I should be able to do them because I train a fair bit. But I remember doing it, like Jacob said, another time, I think I went like 5 or 6 times up them, probably walking back down, not doing the loop that you were doing,
Yeah.
just going up and down. And I literally like couldn't get down into my car. Like, I'm just trying to put into perspective, like what that feels like on your quads, and then to do it for
The first
much
time
forever.
someone does it, they get up to that halfway point, don't they? And they think
you
they're
look
there.
up and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, here we go. Like,
I
this
love
is-
that. The first time you do it with someone, they're like, "Oh, almost there," and they almost like sprint up that little
Yeah.
bit, and it's like you're only
You see
halfway.
another half and you're like,
Yeah,
oh,
it's a
here
mental
we go.
fucking
Like,
too, yeah.
it's destruction. Like,
So, what was the thought process behind that one?
So it's
there's
100
600
miles
hard.
total.
there's no real thought process behind a lot of this stuff. Like
Yeah.
the 7 Ironmans in 7 days I done in April. Like, I decided in February. I only learned how to properly swim in February. Like, it's just something mental comes into my mind. I'm like, that would suck. Sweet, let's do
Yeah.
it. Like,
Yeah.
let's run it. There was no real. I was just thinking about like what would be the hardest 1-day event that I could physically do. And I remember doing the marathon up them in February and being like, I don't think I could go another step. Like,
Wow.
that was terrible.
You know what was wild about that one? I watched that one this morning. You had a couple 100 meters to go, and you were gonna just like run it out at the top, and you go, I better go up the stairs one more time.
Yeah.
You ran back down and ran back
You
up
have
them.
to though. You have to.
Yeah,
Like, you
I think
can't let
that
it beat you.
represented what, like, exactly how your brain works. Like, you're just leaning into
Like sprinting
The
at the
hardest
last
way.
set.
Yeah.
As well,
yeah,
You just, the harder it is, the better. Like,
yeah.
When did that start getting really hard for you?
the
Like the Coogee Stairs one.
the Coogee Stairs at about 70k in, I just
Yeah.
remember crying for about three loops,
Yeah.
just crying. Like, I was physically sweet. I was just like, I've been running here for 9 hours and I'm 90k to go. I'm not even halfway yet. And it was just such a mental, like, oh, you're a dumbass. Why would you? Like,
Yeah.
it's just those constant questions of like, why are you doing this to yourself? And then it got progressively worse. Whenever I hit about 98k, there was about 3 or 4 loops. I didn't eat or drink, but I was bombing. Like, I was like 6-minute pace average for that 1k loop, which is hammering up them stairs.
Yeah.
But then one of the boys came down and done the next loop with me, and I started to hallucinate. So I would see, I'd seen like hundreds of people along like the sides of the stairs, and I was like floating back. So he was having to stand behind me, and I was like floating up the stairs.
Yeah.
And I got to the top of the stairs and sat down, and I was actually trying to quit. I was genuinely like, I was like trying to say the words, and I couldn't say it. I was sitting there like I want to quit, like,
Yeah.
in my head. But I sat down for a second. Those two went up to my house to get me food, and then their dad stayed with me, and I had some more food and got changed, and then like you're straight back in.
Like a reset.
Yeah, I feel like in those things you go through such extreme highs and extreme lows, and both are equally enjoyable,
Right.
because you like feel like I deserve this. Like, I deserve this pain. It's sick. Like, it's terrible, and it scares the life out of me. But like, I deserve to feel this. Like,
your mind during something like that, right? So I just went for a 6K run today, right? Just like get back into it. I'm getting back into it. But even during that 6K, I had a little bit in my head.
Yeah, but I'm the
like,
same.
oh,
Like,
just do 5, come back or whatever.
I'm the
so
same.
Yeah, right.
It's
so even if you do like something short,
it's just like you get them feelings. Like, anybody
Yeah.
that says they don't get them feelings, they're lying. Like,
Yeah.
I could be out in my first 3K and be like,
This is shit.
oh, I hate this. Like, why do
Yeah.
you do this? Like,
Yeah.
and it's only like a 10K run is pretty much minimum now for my training. Like,
Yeah.
that's the minimum distance I'll do when I go out the door. And it's just still like,
Is it not an option to stop? Like, is that how you keep yourself from not stopping? Like, no matter what it is, it's just not an option anymore? Or are you thinking about the end goal? Or are you thinking about letting people down, letting yourself down?
no,
I'll put this on Instagram.
just don't quit right now. Like,
Yeah.
it's a massive, like, I always think nowadays more so, especially since I've left school, it was very like, I don't know, I hated life whenever I was in school. It's more like, I like can do whatever I want, and I want to do this.
Right.
Like, as much as I hate it, like, I'm choosing to do this. Like, I'm in a good enough position in my life. Like, many people in the world over don't have this opportunity every day to be able to go and like do what I'm doing, and like, so many people would give so much to try something like that, and I like have such an opportunity every time. So when you're in it, you've a bit of that in your mind, but mostly it's just don't quit right now. Just right now, in this second.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
quit. And that'll go through your head for...
is there anything you say to yourself in like, I don't know, like when you're really dark? Is there anything you like lean into?
like, thoughts-wise, probably
Yeah.
just like...
Like any affirmations
Because they're
or
quite
anything like
quite
that?
boring, these, I imagine. Like, or,
It's the boredom more so than anything that'll kill
Yeah.
you. Because
Yeah.
you're just like, a lot of the time, I'll just not wear headphones because you just... You go through so many things in your head and your life. It's just like constantly like, the harder it is, the less likely other people are to do it. So it's like, it's that Alex Hormozy quote on Chris Williams, just talking about like, it's no longer poor me, it's poor everybody else, because nobody else has a chance if like
yeah.
I'm willing to go through this like day in, day out, week in, week out, every
Yeah.
week, just putting yourself through. It's more like, I'm just going to keep cranking this stuff out, like, no matter what.
Yeah.
That's really all the thought process behind it. There's no major, like, I'm unbelievable, or sometimes you feel like a god when you're running, and it's a
Yeah.
bit mad.
Because
Like,
you are like going into a realm of doing things which no one's done before. Like, no one's definitely done that Coogee stairs
no doubt.
for that much.
I don't know who would want to touch that anyway. Like, who would want to attack that now, right?
And you probably could count on really 2 hands how many people have done the Ironmans.
Yeah.
What do you do? 7 and...
7 and 7 days.
Because you had the Iron Cowboy, is it?
Yeah.
You done...
100 and 100 days and
100.
50 and 50 days, which is just,
Yeah.
which is mad.
Yeah.
But like, then you stack up all the other things I've done, and I start to like it builds a confidence in yourself. Like, I know myself, like, if I'm being genuine with myself and look at the year that I've done, like, I've ran 100 miles 3 times this year, 7 Ironman, 7 days, 100K, a marathon every day in June, attempted a burpee world record, like, just random things, like 100 mile on the assault bike. I done
A marathon every day in June.
yeah.
Yeah, right. Wait, was that in the morning you'd hit that out, or just
I
whenever
would
you
break
could?
it up throughout the day because I
Right,
couldn't
right,
just
right,
with
right, right.
work. I just couldn't hit it all at once, so it
Yeah.
was just like getting it done whatever
42 Ks a
whatever,
day.
whatever
Yeah.
way I could throughout
Yeah.
the day.
Yeah,
But like, actually during that month, I found out the other night I done one of the marathons on Bondi Beach on the sand, and it was 40 seconds slower than the world record for the fastest marathon on sand, which I didn't realize.
Should have
until-
done it on day one.
Yeah, I know, I would have smashed it. So I think I'm gonna have to do that again.
There's
Yeah.
so many of these like niche world records, isn't there? Like, I
You
was
don't
messaging you
know.
the other day about the weight. Like, you could, Mark could definitely knock out some weight vest world records.
Yeah.
Out
Yeah.
there, for sure.
Speaking about that, I'm literally next month, I was looking up, I'm planning now to do the 5K, 10K, half marathon, 50K, and 100K world
Be the
records. with a
weight vest guy, mate.
Yeah, just throw all them on. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like, some of them are just like, I don't really like 100K in a weight vest. Like, I've already done a marathon in a weight vest, I've just started like this suffering series where 1 day a week. It kind of keeps me accountable to training wise to do something. Like this week I'm doing a marathon on the ski erg on Friday, which is gonna suck.
Yeah,
that's gonna
Latty.
suck. Yeah, yeah, not good. But like, I done the marathon in the weight vest in like 4.5 hours, and it wasn't like it was just left kind of like a chafing wife beater on me. Other than that, it was all right.
Yeah.
People say about how it affects your gait. Did you feel that at all?
How it affects my what?
Your gait, like just how your natural running cadence?
Yeah, it does. It does a bit, like, but I got it strapped tight enough that it was not like bouncing too much, so it was sort of with me. And then I know myself from doing the Ironmans, like when I'm doing something like that, I increase my cadence exponentially. Like I'll take my cadence from like 140 per minute to like 180, 190. Just really short steps, just keep moving. It takes, because my hamstrings are pretty weak comparatively to the rest of the legs, and they take a lot of the impact. So if I shorten the cadence, they don't take anywhere near the damage that they could sustain.
And I guess having that, ironically, you didn't get into CrossFit because you were too weak, and now you're strong for like an endurance athlete. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like a weight vest is like, you know, you're strong enough to carry that load.
Yeah,
well.
It's
you know what I mean?
relatively okay. Like it's not the worst. Like I really think that, I don't think CrossFit athletes understand, especially those people who are like training 3 and 4 hours a day, how transferable it is. It just takes a little bit of time. Like whenever I done that 15K, I look back on it now and I'm like, I wasn't out of breath. I wasn't really struck. It's just my body wasn't accustomed to running, like doing that type of fitness. So now, like, I kind of look at training a lot differently than what I used to when I was doing CrossFit, like lift heavy weights, whatever it is. I now want to actually be ready to do anything in any discipline at any given moment. Right. I want to be capable of, like, if you ask me to go climb, I'll be sweet at climbing. If you ask me to go, like, paddle, I'll be good at paddling, like rowing, cycling, swimming, running, whatever it may be. I just want to be, like, in a position where I'm like, he's pretty good at that, and, like, has already been.
How is your programming? Do you do all your own programming?
Yeah, I do all my own programming.
How what does that look like? Will you set it out into like blocks, or will you just sit down and scribble it down on paper? Or?
No, I have in my head most weeks. I tend to have numbers at the start of the week that I want to hit volume wise. So at the minute, it'll roughly be around 100 kilometers running, 100 kilometers biking, 2 or 3 days of lifting, 2 or 3 days of CrossFit, and then just any extra stuff. Like if I want to go for a swim, I want to, like, whatever it may be, just get it in.
How many hours would that be, do you reckon?
I'm generally on training days at the minute, it's between 2.5 and 4.5 hours a day. Wow. And that can go on for 2 to 3 weeks at a time. And then I'll be like, I start to notice if I struggle to get my heart rate up, that's when I need to take a rest. Because like there's sometimes I'm like out the door and my heart rate will just stay at 120 and it won't go up to where I want it to be. Right. But I think that's a big part of like all the things that I've done this year, and they start to take impacts. Like I remember after the Ironmans, like it affected my hormones in a really weird way. Like I felt like a kid again. Like I was coming into work, putting my hood up, and like I didn't want anybody to see my face because I was like worried about how I looked. And I'm like, I haven't cared about that since I was like 16. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. And then
you got your nose pierced, mate. That's a clear sign.
Yeah, I care about it. Like.
What do you think that was then?
I actually don't know. I really don't know. I think a big part of it is like I'm now starting to appreciate the work going into it more than the outcome. Like when I think back to the Ironmans, I enjoyed day 4 way more than I enjoyed finishing. Like yes, the finishing like that 2-3 hours after is unreal. But see when you're out in the middle of it and you're like, nobody else is doing this. This is class. Like it's me. Like I'm suffering. Like you come in the door. I was staying with a friend because I was moving house during the Ironmans. I was staying with Aileen, and she like came in, and within the space of 2 minutes I was laughing into crying about the fact that I was out the door in the morning to do another Ironman. Like just stuff like that. You're just like, it's so fun. And then it starts to bleed into your normal life a wee bit, where like day-to-day life is a wee bit like, this is a bit boring. Like I want to be out in the mixer, like hurting or like whatever it may be.
Does that this ability to suffer you said you worked hard in your Gaelic football as a kid, and probably your cross country. That's pretty gnarly on the mind as well.
Yeah.
Do you think this ability to suffer, you lent into it early, but do you think that's improved as you've gone, or do you think when you've stopped certain goals, it's dipped away? I'm a big believer that it's something that you can train for sure, and there's obviously people out there that would never even touch on like doing things that are slightly hard that they have to convince themselves to finish.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible for everyone to increase that ability?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's the easiest thing lost. That's my biggest worry. I think your mindset is one of the easiest things to lose. Like, you know yourself when you're like, you have a couple days off and you're just like, oh, like I could take a easy day, like sit in the bike for 30 minutes or 40 minutes. I think it's easier lost than it is built. I think building it is a very, very hard and long process, and on the daily you can like lose battles that set you back, or like win small things that set you back. But like throughout the week, like there's weeks where I'm not like, in my mind I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do this much volume, and you don't get near it, and then you beat yourself into like, it's not good enough, it needs to improve, it needs to get better. So sometimes it's like you need to think about yourself and like how you want to improve. If that's on you, like I'm not in the position to tell anybody how to live their lives, but like generally choose the harder thing and you'll get better at it.
There's a degree which everyone could take on themselves, right?
Yeah.
Whether that is just trying to, like a couch to 5K or whatever, something like that, which you're just trying to get the body moving. You're not saying, like, you're obviously, like you're saying, you're on the one side of the spectrum, should we say? But like you're kind of like leading. I think like when I was with you the other day, even like made me. I was like, we've been talking about doing some sort of challenge, and then we'll follow it on the podcast and do like a little mini series to keep us accountable and like show us like leading by example a little bit. And I was just like, it just got me thinking about doing something hard. It was something on your Instagram about you doing a marathon in a weight vest, and I was just like, yeah, that could be.
Yeah, that's the one.
I'm not confirming on that, by the way. That could be the one, you know?
Yeah, why not? Like,
but you were like, I'll do it with you.
Yeah. Well, why not? Like,
yeah, a good training day.
I think just a lot of people don't give themselves, like, I think you could walk out tomorrow and do a sub 5 hour marathon in a weight vest. Like, you're fit enough. It's just your head. Like, again, it's like choosing the hard thing. I can't remember who said it to me. It was like some relative or friend whenever I was younger, that throughout your life you can always choose your suffering. So you can choose that suffering of like, I'm not going to do that, but like I'm going to go chill. And you know in your head you're just like, shouldn't be doing this, like I shouldn't be chilling, I should be getting after it, or I shouldn't be going out for ice cream or whatever it is. You should be doing the other thing, and it eats away at you way more than, oh, this is shit, I really don't want to do that. When you choose that, it makes it way better and like way easier. You can like actually rest and recover the rest of the day once you've hit that, even if it's small things.
It's so true. Like, have you ever done anything like sporting wise where you're just like, fuck, how did I do that so well or so fast, or like even like so like maybe easily, like where your mindset gets to a point, like you're saying, where you just kind of like ignore the pain and it's more about like the objective of like what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, the flow that you get into.
Yeah, like a state of flow, but that's so hard to get into. And like when you're doing these events, you must go in and out of flow like all the time, right? You must feel like moments where you just feel like it's easy.
Yeah, there's times where you're definitely like, this is no problem. But even in a CrossFit workout, you know the score. There's times where you're like, say your class at toes to bar and it's like a set of 15 and you jump up and you're like, I am unreal, this is lethal, no problem. And then you jump on the power cleans at 80 kilos and you're in a hole. But it's just relative to each person. Like, you go in and out of those states no matter who you are. It's just about balancing those nicely.
Yeah.
What are you working on at the moment? What's in the plans?
I have a lot of stuff, a lot of suffering in the works. The big one is going to be next year. That'll hopefully get my name on the map, because I'm going to be working a full-time job and running a 100-miler every week for the full year. One every week for the full year, and then
100-miler.
Wow.
Every week for the full year. I just love the fear of it, Because every time I've done it, I've been so scared. You can't put a thought together, and you're just not.
Wow.
You're not yourself, but in a good way. You're not yourself.
In your, obviously you got to plan it all out and stuff, but in your head, what would that be? Would that be like a Saturday?
I'm off Wednesdays and Thursdays, so I'm going to start Wednesday morning. I will probably create a 40k loop around Sydney. That's relatively safe, especially for like episodes of hallucination and stuff throughout the night, like, or potential passing out, because I can't expect someone to come and help me out every week unless I'm getting sponsored and have that money, which I don't think I will for the first for the foreseeable, like, so it's just going to be me out there doing it. So I'll get up probably Wednesday morning and I'll just go out and hit it.
That is also a thing to mention as well, but you're doing a lot of this without a team.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I've got really good friends that have helped me, and I can't appreciate them.
Have you seen the Ross Edgley new doco on YouTube?
Unreal.
The longest swim.
Yeah.
And he has got a full funded team. It's unbelievable.
Like 20 plus people.
And he says, there's no chance of me to do this without this team or whatever. But you are like bringing all your own food and probably stashing it somewhere, and like,
you're getting a lot of help from people as well. But like, I do think the likes of him and all those guys that talk about their teams, like, sometimes it's a bit of a facade as well, because like, whenever I'm going out to do something, it's getting done. That's it. Like, end of story. It's getting done, regardless of who helps me or how much food's there or what's going on. He knows it's getting done. Like, that's him. And like, understanding, I appreciate the people around me so much, and like, it works out that I couldn't have done it without those people. But the mindset going in is that I don't need anyone. I don't need a thing. Let's do this. And he definitely thinks like that, because if you think like, I'm dependent on him or I'm dependent on her, then it starts to be a bit like...
And then they let you down. Yeah. And then that gets in your head like, I can't do it now.
Like, I'm waiting on someone to support me, or like your best friend said he was going to support you, FaceTime you for hours or whatever it is. And you're just like, no, that's not always how it works. Like, you can't expect people to like revolve their lives around you and what you're doing. Like, obviously they're getting paid in their teams, so he has to expect that. But like, and then that leads me on to another thing about like, all the guys that are doing what I'm doing, or the girls or whatever, and raising money for charities is unreal, and it's a really good thing. But I feel like a lot of them are putting out that they are doing it primarily for the charity, and I don't know if I don't believe it, because it's just like, I'm extremely egotistical doing what I'm doing, and I'm in a great opportunity to pursue what I'm doing, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity. And a great secondary of everything that I've done is helping charities and like helping those people, but that's not my main concern. It's just not. Like, with a lot of those,
you want to see what you can do.
I want to see what I can do. Like, it's not like I want to be unbelievable or the best. I just want to see what I'm capable of.
But all top athletes or people trying to pursue a career, being an athlete, are selfish. You have to be.
Yeah, you 100% have to be. That's what sort of like...
It's often the difference, right?
Yeah, that's what I don't get with a lot of this stuff going on now, is they talk so much about the charities and blah, 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 and I feel like it's kind of just trying to do it to boost it a wee bit more than actually like... I will always make clear I'm doing these things for myself and not for anyone else, so I can look back in 40 years or 30 years, whatever it is, and be like, I was great because I chose to be, and anybody can choose to be. That's mainly what it comes to. I
just love seeing what the human body is capable of.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
Yeah, you
like,
certainly
to be able to push it.
Like, to push it to those limits, it's still...
Mate, like 100, how many times have you done 100 miles before?
3.
3, okay.
Yeah.
So what will training look like from now to the end of the year?
Starting to pick up mileage-wise. Like, I'll be picking up towards probably 100, like... at least 100 mile a week throughout the week. Maybe starting to hit 200k weeks thereabouts, and then starting to now plan training around the 100 miles next week or next year. So throughout the week, like, I'll be doing, it'll probably look like Monday I'll lift upper body, Tuesday I'll cycle and do probably some more upper body, and then Thursday you'll have to have as a write-off day because you've just run 100 miles the day before. But Friday you're back in. Legs. Saturday you're still training, because I can't like...
So you will be keeping quite a strong strength and conditioning program.
I think it's the big difference when it comes to those. Like, obviously, if I want to be an elite ultra runner, I would have to drop a lot of weight, and I just don't want to do that. Like, not like.
Because how much are you weighing right now?
74, 75 kilos there.
Is that what you're looking to weigh when you start?
Yeah, I want to maintain that year round, like, because I'm still 26. Like, I want to look all right. Like, no, I don't.
Yeah, because you are right. Like we were mentioning, Journey, he probably weighs 60 kilos.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, it's just not. It's not an aesthetic.
65 after like a Sunday race. You know?
Yeah,
Like, I imagine you're working pretty hard to keep that body weight on.
It's fairly difficult. Like, it is fairly difficult. Like, I'm cutting fat at the minute because I've got a 5K time trial now in the next week or so, and it's been rough with the training. Like, and I'm still eating 4,200 calories a day.
Wow.
And I'm probably losing around 1.5 pounds a week at that, because like I get meals delivered and then I eat around that as well. So it's roughly 4.2 on the daily, and weight just goes off straight away. Like, it doesn't hang about like at all. Yeah.
How much food do you take on these runs? You take gels and
I take everything and anything in between. Like, that's one of my favorite things about doing this is like you eat whatever you want. Like, you just turn into it. Like, I'm so bad for sweets.
Do you have like a distance where you're like, oh, I won't take anything with me, I know I'm sweet on that, to say, I don't know.
No.
Do you have like a cut-off point where I know anything over 30k I need to take so and so?
When I'm training, I don't really like worry about like nutrition and stuff, just because it's just like another day training. Yeah. Like, if I'm going 30-40k's, like, I know I can do that, like maybe a gel or like a bottle of Powerade, that's fine for like a marathon distance. But when you're starting to think about I'm moving like on the day of an event or the day that I'm doing something, I eat from minute 0 right through as much as I can, because I know there'll be points where like the thought of stomaching any food is going to be gruesome, and it's not going to be an enjoyable experience at all. But I try to just consistently eat throughout those days of like what I'm doing. But it's pretty fun. Like, I'll turn into McDonald's in the middle of like in the middle of a 100-mile run. You're like, this is all right. This is fine. Like, when you sit down, probably shouldn't be doing that, but it is what it is.
Calories, mate.
What's your recovery looking like for these big training weeks, and even looking forward to those weeks next year when you're doing back-to-backs?
Just
sleep's your main one?
Sleep's the big one. Like, like 10, 11 hours a night whenever I'm like, whenever I'm around massive training zones or like thing. I actually get a lot of shit about how much I sleep. Like, I'll go to bed at like 9 or 10. And I've actually struggled to go to bed early. I've really struggled with it, but then I'll sleep right through to 8 or 9 in the morning. Like, I just don't really set alarms on days that I'm off or anything like that. Just sleep until you feel all right. If I wake up and I'm still groggy, I'll go back to sleep, because I just think it's sleeping and eating good are the two things. Like, ice bath and sauna, I'm not really like massive on. I think those are like the 1%ers, and it does make a difference, but like, it's really, really marginal if you don't have food and sleep right, and that main recovery protocol. I also have a physio.
I was going to ask, do you have get some physio work done?
Yeah, Marion, she's been unreal, like coming during the month of marathons, like sorting my, like, from my knees down to the bottom of my foot, just to sort that area out, was taking like an hour on one side. It was insane. Like, it was just all glued together.
Wow.
And just having to pull it apart. But like, definitely having her on board has made massive differences. She was there during the 100 miles on the South Coogee steps, and just like see that like rubbing out of the hamstrings and quads, it takes 20k's off the legs immediately. Would you say you're naturally like sort of, a lot of people kind of like said are injury prone? Do you feel like that's like one of your superpowers a little bit? Yeah, I think so.
You kind of have to have that, I guess, if you're going to do what you do, right?
Yeah, I think I've been like, for the amount of stuff, like, I look back in the year and think, how have I not got like serious injuries, like from running 100 mile in January and just something constantly on the go, like February, March, April, like, it's every month back to back. And like, the worst one was probably the 100k through the Blue Mountains, the UTA. I went to do it. That was 2 or 3 weeks after the Ironmans, and I did not run a kilometer. Didn't run a kilometer before that 100 kilometers. And like, I just remember the pain in my body running that 100k.
Mate, that is a brutal.
It was.
I was there doing.
horrendous.
I'd done my 22, but yeah, amazing event.
It was
event.
class. It was so fun, but I suffered bad during that
Because you didn't move in between?
because
or?
I didn't move in between and I didn't do
Wow.
anything. Like I started to, I would say, believe my own hype a wee bit. I would say during that small.
I have a stairs on that mind.
yeah.
The stairs up to be
horrendous.
twin sisters.
Horrendous.
Imagine that.
It
Imagine
was
doing that one.
terrible. It was terrible.
I remember going up there and we're going like it's like we're backlog because we're going later on in the day, and there's people literally like there's a dude in a Man United shirt. You know, if you wear a Man United shirt to something like this, you probably haven't trained very well. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Like, and he's there like white as a ghost, just sat in the corner. I then go up another flight and there's someone like puking up over the side,
Oh,
and we're
perfect.
going like walking pace. Like
Inspiring.
Mark would have been like hammering him, you know what I mean?
But it was people were dropping like flies. I
Yeah.
heard even on the half, the marathon or the 50k
Yeah.
and the 100k, people were just dropping like flies. How did you find it?
Yeah, because it was so backlog. We're standing there and walk. So it wasn't. I honestly think if it was like a free run, it would have been the hardest thing I'd ever do. I reckon,
Yeah.
or ever done. Sorry, but because it wasn't too bad
Yeah,
for me.
you could just move.
Because
and,
we were walking up it.
yeah,
you know what I
and
mean?
there's people in front of you and stuff.
Yeah, and then you're stopping and stuff like that. But mate, honestly, it is unreal. Like the steps are just like you're proper like you think Coogee Stairs is like bad. Like this is savage.
like
Yeah.
I think we're at 97k by the time we get to the bottom of those stairs, and it's you like. But the worst was actually getting to the stairs. I knew once I get to the stairs because
Yeah.
every incline I was overtaking people, but on the decline because my shoes ripped, I couldn't go any kind of speed. My feet were in agony. But on the incline I was overtaken. But it was from the 91k to those stairs was a 6k run, and I swear to God I done at least a half marathon in that distance. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I remember running for I would say 30 minutes I was running, and I asked like a steward how long until the stairs, and they were like 4k, sweet, no problem, we're getting there. And then I'd say another 4 kilometers down the line, and I was like to another steward, how long's left? And it was like 4k, and I was like, are you serious? Like I've been running for ages here. Where are these stairs? Like, because you could see them in the distance, and it just wasn't coming.
Yeah, I
any
remember
closer.
looking at my watch going, oh, I'm fucking killing this. I'm going for a good time. And then my next K took like 22 minutes or something.
Some of the kilometers just
Like-
they just drag out.
Yeah.
They're looking down, and it's like, oh, that's like 800 meters there, and it's 0.1, and you're like,
Oh my God.
oh, I hate this. Like, why have I done
Next
this?
year, mate. We're signing you up.
Yeah, let's go.
100k in a weight vest up,
in my wheel-
up through the Blue
In
Mountains.
my
are they?
warehouse. Yeah.
They're actually looking at getting a miler put into that,
Really?
and that will be
Oh, wow.
that will be if they continue that elevation trend. Like it was
Yeah.
4,000 meters across 100k, and it you felt it like.
Brutal, yeah.
But if they make that miler, it'll be like 7,000, which is the same as the Coogee Steps that I just done, and that is
Yeah.
going to be brutal. But the one thing that I love is in that ultra community, it's like everybody's like you're chatting along the
Oh,
way.
mate,
It's nuts. Like people
so
just
good.
chat away to you, like there's no
Yeah.
bother to it.
It's a
Like,
completely different vibe to it, rather
Yeah.
than if you've done like City to Surf or like
Right.
these
Ran
other
a
races.
marathon,
Everyone's
yeah.
like, "What time do you get?" and all that. Like, not one person asked me what time I got.
No, they were
'Cause
just
it's
like,
I was, how was it?
yeah, like
you know what I mean?
unreal. Like
Yeah.
that's what you
No
want.
one
You're-
really cares.
yeah, they're just sort of buzzing
Unless
for you,
you're
like
like,
you've finished.
looking at top 10 or whatever. But everyone else is just like getting through it. you
Yeah,
know what
just
I mean?
buzzing you've finished and
Yeah.
got through something like that. Especially like I remember just crossing the line and you're just chatting to other people that have finished and you're just like, that was brutal, and they're just sitting there like with the baked potato. You're like, this is class, sweet buzzing. It's so nice to see everybody just like
Yeah.
actually supporting each other, and there's no negativity, no like, what did you get? Like,
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
after I do a WOD, I'm straight over and like, what did you get? Like, how did you get on? I like it. There's nothing like that. Everybody's just really supportive
Yeah.
and behind you, which is so cool.
That'll get people coming back.
Yeah,
for sure.
especially in the last man standing. That was really surprising to me how much people supported each other.
Yeah.
Although towards the end it was probably a wee bit more frosty, like
Right.
between those like people pushing on a bit longer to try and take a win. It was a bit
Right.
frostier, but
People probably losing their minds a bit as well.
yeah,
right?
100%.
The gnarly thing about that one is it's kind of like an AMRAP, right? Like, you know how different the mindset is in an AMRAP where you don't have a a target.
Yeah,
You just have to keep going until.
just keep moving. A
Yeah.
6.7k on the hour every hour, an
Yeah.
EMOM, but just for a day and a half. Like
brutal.
nah, but it is brutal just
Yeah.
because you don't know the end point. That's the big one with it. Like there's no.
I think
No
when
goal, huh?
when you're bringing him a lack of sleep, I think that when it goes to a whole new
Yeah.
level, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I really realized. Something that I learned was they do a lot of micro napping. A lot of those top athletes, they'll like go and sleep for 3 and 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6
Yeah,
minutes before going out for the next loop, and it makes a massive difference. Where I was like, me and Connor goes to Southend, I think,
Yeah,
so he
yeah,
does. And we
He's
were
a lunatic as well.
yeah, he is a lunatic as well. He's a good lad. But we were sitting and listening to like, I think, who do you call him was playing? There was somebody playing anyway, and we were just had the tunes on and everybody blasting. Everybody else is in the caravan sleeping. 2 of us just sitting there eating pizza, listening to tunes at 3 in the
Perfect.
morning.
Whatever gets
But
you
it-
through.
Yeah, but it was really good. Like, that was one of the most fun of the year I've had so
nice.
far. Like,
Yeah.
but there's definitely I've a couple of things coming up now. November, I'm going to do a big Murph.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so marathon, 1,000 pull-ups, 2,000 push-ups,
Wow.
3,000 squats, and then
Jeez.
another marathon.
Big Murph.
3,000 squats.
Yeah, that's gonna
We'll
suck.
keep an eye out for that one.
Yeah,
November.
that one's gonna be terrible. And then December, I haven't really decided. I was meant to be going home to Ireland to try and break the record, running from the southernmost point to the northernmost point. But it's an absolute fortune to fly back, so I'm just not paying that money to go home.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of things in mind. So I'm gonna do that individual pro high rocks in December
Yeah.
in Melbourne, and I think I might try and run back up the road run back up the road as if it's 2 minutes
Yeah,
up the
yeah.
road, but like try and run
Straight
back.
off the stage. Get
Straight,
your photo.
like let's
Straight
go,
up.
let's go.
On
No,
the
I
ocean
give myself
road.
a couple of days off after the wall balls to let the legs
Yeah.
recover a bit.
Wow.
But that's December. I want something.
Would that be anything you would think about? The Elite 15 for High Rocks?
I'm very much considering it.
Yeah.
If I can take a win now in December at it, and I can start to like get towards that, I actually have a chance of competing against these boys, because it's the same. Like, you never think that you're like, I know what I'm doing and all that stuff now is quite mad, but you just don't think of yourself as like being like up in the mixer with those. And like after doing the doubles pro at the weekend, I'm like, I could actually compete with these guys and like put it to them more than just like hanging on for dear life. I'll actually be out there like competing, because you definitely think of those guys not just in high rocks but CrossFit or any professional athlete. I know I've always kind of like had them on, like they're always just these genetic freaks that are just like special athletes that were just born to do it, and it's never really the case. Like, it's like a bit of luck and a lot of hard work for most of them, which is now starting to realize I actually could.
Nice mindset to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, mate.
All right. Well, anything else you want to finish on, lads, with that one? Lots of exciting stuff coming up
Yeah.
for you, mate.
Yeah,
We're
I'm
looking
buzzing.
forward to seeing it all. We'll get you back on here after you've
Sick.
ticked a couple of these extra goals
Sounds
off.
like a plan.
Yeah.
Like a plan.
Where can everyone find you, mate?
It is _Branniff on Instagram, or Mark Branniff on YouTube is mostly where I'm at the minute. So if you
Keep
wanna
pumping those videos, mate.
see- Yeah,
Let's get them out.
it's a melt.
Firing us
But
up.
that's the worst thing of it all, is doing the videos. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
it'll get there.
Got to be done, yeah.
It'll
We'll-
get
man,
there.
mate.
But mate, thank you very much, lads. I really appreciate that. That was
Yeah, no worries,
Thanks
mate.
for
That was
coming, mate.
sick.
We'll chat soon.
sounds like a plan.
Cheers.
Let's do it.